Welcome to this panel discussion for 9 Yards by Femina. I'm Primrose Montero D'Souza, managing editor of Femina, and joining me are three women who most sari lovers will already know. Shramona is from Amrapali Boutique in Chandan Nagar in West Bengal. Shubha is from Hatkarga in Dehradun, Uttarakhand. And Poroma has an eponymous brand in Calcutta, also in West Bengal. Today, we are going to talk very appropriately for a virtual celebration of saris about their online presence and how it has held its own during the pandemic. So let's begin with the simplest question of them all. Why this love for saris? I want you to try to tell me in just one line or maybe two. So maybe Poroma, you'd like to start?
Okay, so for me, the love for sari is, I think, primarily it is size exclusive in the sense that, anyone can wear a sari without thinking of the size issues. Since I'm also a brand dealing with blouses, I know what size issues can be. So as an entrepreneur, if you say my love for saris, it would be definitely because it's all size inclusive and there is no change in sizes so far as saris are concerned. The most accommodating of all fabric, the easy flowing, and of course, memories of childhood. Our mothers always wore saris and we would use them as towels every time we would wash our hands. So I think that whole connection between my mother, my grandmother, and me, that is what sari is also all about.
Yeah, that does strike so many chords. I mean, I've not thought of it that way, but it makes so much sense. Shubha, your love for the sari?
In just one line?
Okay, a little more than that.
Yeah, I would say one can actually feel the sexiest, the most elegant, yet the most comfortable at one time would only by wearing a sari. That's my simple one line for a sari. I mean, one cannot feel all these three together in any other garment except for a sari.
Yeah, true. Shramona, so tell me why this love for the sari?
Well, it's difficult to put it in one sentence, to be very honest. I might might need a few. But I think for me, it is always, it is since childhood, I've seen my mother and my grandma don one so easily and go on doing their chores so at ease with grace. So I think I always wanted to do that as well. This entire unstitched cloth of 6 yards, just wrap it around you at such ease and go on with my daily life. So I think I always wanted to be that. Eventually, I actively started falling in love with it when I became a part of my own label. And there's something about it that makes me feel so confident every time I wear it. Like in any occasion, if I have to choose one piece of outfit, which I know that'll make me feel confident, it's got to be a sari. And I think it's just not a piece of cloth. There's so much of stories that's wrapped and attached in the folds and creases that I think it just makes me feel special as a person when I don one. I think, yeah, that's where it comes from.
Cool. Okay, so I've asked each one of you to wear a sari that you love because I want to hear the story behind it. So tell me about your sari.
You started with me, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so though I'm having the sari, which was one of my first creations when I launched Hatkarga, and to be very honest, I have a very few of my own saris in my closet because the ones I really love, I'm like the most greedy to sell them the first. So in the end, I'm left with very few collections of my own in my closet. So this is apparently one of my first creations almost 6 years ago. I launched this during Diwali. So it has all these Indian colors of green and orange. So I've got this Ganesha on the palla. And I have held a lot of exhibitions, like the initial exhibitions wearing this sari. It's a very soft Mangalgiri sari with not those typical zari borders. Somehow I am not too much into zari borders. So yes, it holds a lot of memories, with the launch of my label and everything. And still a very dear sari to me. So that is it.
It looks beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah. So Poroma, your sari, also very, very unusual.
It is a simple Dhonekhali cotton from West Bengal, on which we have embroidered the Calcutta skyline. So it's the entire silhouette of Calcutta, which has Howrah Bridge, the St. Paul's Cathedral, and the Victoria Memorial. So the entire border till the pallu, we have the skyline of my favorite city embroidered on the sari. So it's like wearing your lover on your sleeve. So I always say that Calcutta is my biggest muse, my lover, my poetry. I mean, something I've never lived or gone beyond Calcutta. So for me, it is also a tribute to the greatest muse, my most important inspiration. And I feel that so it's like carrying the love of your life on your around you, wrapped in love. So this is one of the most special saris, and also one of our best sellers too.
Very, very easy to understand why. It's a beautiful sari. And now Shramona, your sari.
Okay, so I'm wearing a hand paint on Tat. Okay, you can see the hand paint.
Wow.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So Tat is essentially a fabric that was originated in Bengal. And why it's special is, for a long time, my sister and I both stayed away from starchy Tat. This is a starchy sari, right? Because it sort of made us feel that it won't drape well, or it won't cling onto your body or make you look bigger than you are. But so we've never worn it. We always stay away from it. It was only when we launched this collection called Painted Canvas, which had like a range of hand-painted saris on Tat, and we got to wear one or a few of them, is we realized how elegant and exquisite it is. Like it has a grace of its own. And about the design, this is like sunflower printed on a sari, which is as sunshiny as it can get. And I think it is a perfect choice in like Coorg, where the weather is so gloomy. It's like an instant mood lifter, like a pick-me-up. And it's painted by one of our very special artisans, Baptuda. And sometimes these take like more than 15-20 days to be made. So I think it's a very special sari that's instantly lifts my mood every time I wear it.
Very dramatic sari, and I think till you showed it
to
us.
I mean, there's a sunflower and the entire sari drawn, and it's very beautiful.
So this is a question for all three of you. What brings a sari into your store? You know, how do you decide which saris make the cut to come into the store? And if you are sourcing, how much are you involved in that sourcing or, commissioning of the pieces? So who'd like to start?
Poroma would start.
So far as what saris make it cut to our studio, it is all, for me, it's a very organic process, in the sense that we design everything from scratch. Sometimes, of course, we have the weavers that we work with in West Bengal. They are all commissioned to do our work. And as such, from the designing to what fabric to the kind of colors that goes in, everything is decided by us. So I personally, sit with them and do the designing. And as far as weavers from other parts of India is concerned, then we also have our own set of weavers. Obviously, due to pandemic and the situation that it is impossible for us to visit them on a regular basis, which I can do for weavers in West Bengal. That is almost impossible. So, but I think they are also accustomed with the online business, the online transactions, and how we communicate to each other. Sometimes language is also a problem, but I think we have, kind of made peace with that. And so far as West Bengal is concerned, most of my saris are from West Bengal, be it the jamdanis, the phulia cottons, the cottons that are woven in Phulia, or the Dhonekhali, Shantipuri, or the Mulberry silk borrowed, which is woven in Murshidabad. So most of them are saris from West Bengal, and I love to play with colors, and on those the saris once woven, we do our embroidery. So it's like a long process of choosing the thread to the end product, and then embellishing it with the embroidery. or whatever we want to do with it. So it's like a long process, and it's like almost, you know, raising a baby. So every 6 yard is kind of a child for me, because from the very inception, we see them growing. And if you say what makes it to the studio or to the sale product, I mean everything, and every sari is like a child, like I said. So there's a lot of human element in all the 6 yards.
Finally sell to someone. Yeah. Yeah. Shubha, would you like to tell me?
Yes. When Hathkarga started, it wasn't with the aim of running a business. It just started with a dream, with a passion. I'm a half lawyer, by the way. Then eventually, you know, I got into textiles, maybe because my parents were initially into textiles. So I guess it ran in our blood somehow. After law, I thought, you know, textiles is the only thing I would get into. And luckily it happened. So it started with just, you know, me draping saris, because I just wanted to promote saris, as these two girls are just telling their stories that they have seen their mothers, their grandmothers wearing saris. Unfortunately, I don't come from such families. I have not seen people in my, you know, community wearing saris that much. So, you know, the thought of wearing sari itself was like, kisi ki shaadi hai kya? It was like that, you know, coming from a Punjabi family, they were not inclined towards saris. And if it had to be saris, it used to be only for functions. And you can imagine those saris which they used to wear for the functions. So, you know, me coming out with the thought of, you know, wearing everyday saris in itself was a very challenging thing for me. And, you know, then I thought, you know, people have actually kept their saris, you know, locked in their closet. So how Hathkarga happened was just, you know, giving that thing to people that, you know, you should take out those saris, you know, inherited by your parents or grandmothers and all, and you should start wearing. And then when I realized people were actually praising me and appreciating me wearing saris, then the thought of actually selling came. And I did not realize when it actually turned into a business as well. So the initial years were like just single-handedly done brand was. And of course, I started with those initial 3-4 years when I used to pack the couriers, you know, do everything on my own. So you can understand how much love and effort was required for each and every sari. But initially, I was just doing hand-curated collections. Like I used to travel to areas. And of course, that time I was in Madhya Pradesh. So the first weaves I actually got, you know, in touch with was the Maheshwari weaves and the Chanderi weaves. Then gradually and I used to handpick all the saris, and then, you know, everything used to come to my workshop. Then we used to add some creativity over the saris because it had to be a little different from the market. You know, the basic handloom saris you would see everywhere. So it had to be a little different so the people would not feel it's a monopoly. You know, it had to be a monopoly design because Maheshwari sari would always look the same. And you can readily find it everywhere. We can only play with the color contrast and then some embellishments over the sari. Then gradually after 3 years of, you know, hand picking saris, hand curating the saris and everything, then we actually, you know, get hold of weavers, sit across the country. And then now the weavers are actually doing everything for us. Then each and every sari collection comes to our workshop, which is in Roorkee, where I come from. And then every sari, as I told you, like this is a Mangalgiri sari, but then every sari would have some work done. Then we mix and match with different blouses. Hence, a classic Mangalgiri sari would look a little different. You know, that is what our aim has always been. Since last year, then the pandemic happened, of course, as Paroma also mentioned, the traveling has completely been stopped. But hats off to these weavers. They were, you know, open for doing the video calls, WhatsApp chats. They were, you know, because I guess it was the need of the hour that they also had no other way to communicate with us. So, you know, it's been 1 year that I haven't traveled to any of the other states, you know, except Uttarakhand, and Uttarakhand has no saris for now, as of now. So, you know, we have been able to contact them over the WhatsApp, and through this since last year, we have been able to promote a lot of weavers. During pandemic, the work was completely stopped. But we made sure that even if our saving account goes zero, that's fine. But we have to promote them as much as we can. So since last June, we have done very unplanned collections as well. As and when we get to know the weavers are having problems, we just wanted to support them. So that has been the journey of Hathkarga so far.
Pandemic has changed so much.
Pandemic has changed, yes. So the collection, if you talk about, we would never have a lookbook or a catalog. It has always been, chalo, now it's time to promote the Sambalpuri weavers. So we would start working with the Sambalpuri weavers. Chalo, now let's promote the Mangal weavers. So it's like that. And then the entire collection takes time. It reaches the workshop. Then each and every sari is designed with what embroideries we have to do. So it's a long process. And it has got a lot of, people putting their love and effort on each of the saris. So as she also said, we put a lot of love in each of our saris before we put it on sale.
And it certainly shows, that each of them have signature elements that your brand has brought into it because you're so much into it. So
yeah, we do try a lot of, that it should have a statement. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I also feel what Shubha just said, that, the weavers, for us also, while we always worked with the weaves of Bengal, and I have always worked with the weavers of Bengal, but pandemic changed a lot of things in the sense that whenever a weaver had approached, maybe he had got my number from somewhere and, he had approached, or some friend, another designer friend had asked me that, it's time that you do something for them, in the sense that they have a lot of stock which is lying with them and they don't know what to do with it. So maybe, we changed our vision and we incorporated those fabrics which are from the other parts of India and not from West Bengal. I have tried to incorporate them in my design, so that, there is a balance of work for each one of them. Whoever approached, whoever my other designer friends have told me to, they have a lot of unsold stock. So in order to mobilize those unsold stock, I think we have worked with more weavers beyond West Bengal than we would otherwise. So pandemic was obviously an eye-opener as well, and a route opener also.
Yeah, and I think that will continue now in the future. That is
absolutely.
So that is
absolutely
something good should come out of it also. So that
absolutely.
Shramona?
Yeah, okay. So for us, I think quality comes first, even before design. Like every time we plan to launch a sari or make a sari, keep the sari for ourselves. We always make sure the quality is like our first priority. Even when we are working with a new set of viewers, it has to pass the quality test even before the design. When it comes to design, I think, like again, both of them said that each saris are like an extension of ourselves. Like for us also, like the business came second. It was for both my mom, my sister, me, three of us. The love for saris came first. The business part came second. So each of them is curated and created is an extension of ourselves, and I think that makes the process easier, that we think that will we wear it to any occasion. So I think that helps to make the process easier, that what will make the cut for Amrapali. When it comes to sourcing, we do a mix of creating and curating. Sometimes we create a sari from scratch, and sometimes our master weaver comes with an ideation and then we brainstorm, add our elements to it. Decide what colors from the shade card, etc. And then the final thing happens. Even while, I mean, there are challenges there, like sometimes the colors we choose from shade card, and when the final sari arrives, the colors are very different.
Yes.
The colors are very different. And if I mean, the weavers who are exclusive for us, right? So while we are making hand loom, like there can't be like just one sari that's coming out from the loom, because that gets very expensive. There has to be like a minimum number of saris that comes out from the loom. So that also we need to keep in mind when we are making our first sari, that it has to be as perfect as possible, because once it's made, it's difficult to, let that go. So yeah, I think trying and testing leads to finaling the process. And like both of them said, it's a long process from scratch, using the right colors,
yes,
the right thread, right colors, right count, to finally seeing this, wearing it and draping it. And if I have to talk about pandemic, yes, absolutely. Like since most of our weavers are exclusive to us, it was a very big responsibility on us to be able to support them. So sometimes even at the cost of stock lying in our room, not going out from our end, but we made sure their looms are not empty. Those are constantly running. So thankfully, with the online community, we have been able to sustain that for both the weavers and us, and hope it continues to be so.
So I see that the love is so great. So this next question, I think to me makes perfect sense. How often do you fall so much in love with the sari when it comes in that you're not able to put it out on sale and you keep it for yourself?
My God, infinite number of times, I guess. I think, like Oroma mentioned, that each of our sari is our own baby. And like I had mentioned before, it was our love for saris that got us here. The business part, the selling part came second. So each of them is like my baby, and it's so difficult to give your babies out, you know. But then when someone dons it, when someone drapes it and gives us words of appreciation or sends us pictures being so excited about what they are wearing, I think we feel that it has gone into the right hands, you know. So I think we are okay letting go at that point of time. But this happens so often that we want to keep everything for ourselves and just keep telling us, no, it's a business, you need to sell.
Yeah, so when someone else loves it as much as you do, it's consolation prize.
Right. Absolutely.
Vicariously.
It is a huge affirmation also, I think.
Sorry?
It is like your mother approving your boyfriend.
What a perfect metaphor. Yeah.
Yeah. Shubha, you said very often also, do you also fall in love with the saris? And
Of course, I do. And there's no doubt about it. But when the collection comes with the very thing and reaches my store, the final product, it's like I have to leave everything aside. And the first thing is just open the parcels. You know, we have to see. And then usi time, it's like, ye kitni achhi, ye kitni achhi, ye kitni achhi, nice wala. And those are the sarees I would pick at least to shoot on myself, because then at least I can see how's it looking on me.
Yeah, but this is so true. I'm so sorry to cut you, but we love to wear that for photo shoot, that at least, you know, one time so we can wear it, you know, before giving it away.
And you know, the problem is, I don't know if it is good or in a bad sense, but the sari which I would wear, I know that would get sold out the fast. Like, sabse pehle those sarees would get sold out. And the only reason I have to stop, you know, keeping those sarees for myself is because all the sarees which I wear have to be first cut as per the sizes. I cannot wear the standard size of sarees. So for me, they have to be cut lengthwise as well as widthwise. So मुझे लगता है कि, you know, इतना नुकसान से अच्छा, you know, it should go to a standard size person only. That's fine. I'll grab it some other time. And that second time or later time doesn't come ever. So hence I told you, in my own closet, my creations are the least.
Also because I think you get new loves after that.
Yes, and you know, I really feel, you know, since Hatkarga has, you know, grown very slowly and very steadily, so almost 80% of the clients I am in touch with. So, you know, when I wear those of my favorite sarees and when I get their inquiries, I'm like, yeah, actually, you should own that saree. You know, I'm the one who tells them before the creation, listen, I would be launching a grey saree. You have to pick that saree for your mother. I'm like that. So, you know, forget that greed which I have for my own sarees. But yes, it is difficult to stop to keep those sarees for your own self.
It's going to a good family, isn't it?
Yes. And then I end up buying from brands like Amrapali only. Na?
But that's also good that you support.
Yeah, that's good for supporting each other, right?
Yeah. So now let's talk a little about how you plot your online content. Obviously, you're here because you have such a great presence online. So video, reel, static posts, well, how do you sort of plot this, and how, you know, how does it work for you?
So I think our balcony is very iconic because someone recognizes the balcony now, even if we are not there in the picture, you know. So how it started was very, very organically with no plans, to be very honest. It was back in 2015, 2016 when having a social media presence wasn't like very, very, very important. And it was like my sister just randomly, we had a brick and mortar store first. So we had 2 mannequins there, and my sister randomly clicked a photo to send it to one of her friends who wanted that sari just to show her. And she thought of putting it up on Instagram because the picture was already there. And it was a very poorly lit, non-aesthetic picture. And, you know, that's how it started. Like initially it was clicking mannequins to clicking my mirror selfies, to balcony photos, to some very planned shoots, what it is now. So we have, I think, come a long way from where we were. But even then, I think one thing that where we still stick to our roots is just being real and authentic really worked in favor of our brand, because they know the faces behind the brand. Since it's me and my sister who is mostly the face of most of the saris, it is something which people can relate to, you know, and both of us have always believed that, it's for someone to see a picture and buying it. It's like, it's online. People can't feel the texture. People can't see the sari, like feel the sari. So for someone to see and buy it, they should be able to relate to it. So it's both me and my sister are not models. So, it's we very casually drape it. And I think that what makes people relate to our content, and in turn they can visualize themselves wearing it, since it's just two regular girls draping one as well, right? So I think that is something we keep our focus, and that's the base for everything. Baki to be very honest, we want to do a lot more, but there's so much now. There's reels and stories and videos and static, and honestly, once we are done with the shoots, if we have some time, then that's like the second priority, to. So, and Baki about content, to be very honest, there's a lot more that we want to do, which we don't find the time. Like I said, long distance also plays a big role. Both of us, when we are together, it's easier for us to churn out more fun content. Otherwise, it gets difficult because both of us are at different places. And honestly, like right now, there's so much to do. There's reels and videos and cinematic videos and promotional videos and static post stories. There's so much you can do, and sometimes it really gets too much. We really want to do more, but I think since it's just us who is managing, we don't have an agency, we don't have a team reserved for this who will make content every day. It's us, me and my sister, who do everything. So I think there's a lot of ideation, but execution not so much. But of course, like I said, we've come a long way, and eventually I think that also we will turn out more content that we would love to. But yeah, I think we should celebrate till where we have come because honestly, it's a long way.
Absolutely, it's a long way. Paroma, what is your take on building content online?
So I don't know if you know, but I had a 10 years of law career which I left behind and started Paroma. So I am like a lawyer who had worked with law firms for 10 years of our life, and then I decided to take that leap of faith and do what I want to do for the rest of my life, because law was definitely a bad marriage. And in Paroma, I always say that at last I found my lover. So, it's all heart. For me, Paroma is all heart and nothing else. So when I started, of course, we started with a Facebook page, and things were much more simpler. We started in 2015. And by we is a fancy word because it was only I was the single person who made clothes, who did the photo shoot on herself, who packed the couriers, who did everything from social media to whatever she was making. So obviously my whole point with the vision with which I started Paroma, and as I call my tagline says stories on fabric. So my entire goal was to tell stories on fabric. So all my posts, everything that I made had a very strong story behind them. And I would write them on my own and put them on social media. Obviously, I was unaware of Instagram then. Instagram, I started much later, 2017, I think, because, handling one page was, I think, enough for me. And in the initial years, I was also a part-time lawyer. Like I did both the things for 2 years at the same time. So I would consult with a law firm for 3 days, and the rest of the days I would do my business. So, and obviously you cannot have a husband and a lover at the same time. So I took like I said, I took the leap of faith, and I, did Paroma full time. Then, of course, I had more time, but, doing everything single-handedly, was taking a toll. Now, even then, I'm very, very possessive about the content that I generate, in the sense that because it's all story-based, I always keep that under my control. Like I have a team, I have my teammates who would, put a picture on Instagram or Facebook, but I would never leave the caption or the storytelling to them. I'm very possessive that way. So because of that, maybe you would see on my feed, you will see mostly static posts. We don't do reels. We don't do the other kind of course, stories and every other feature of Instagram we use. But more than videos and reels, you would see static posts, because I myself, I think kind of old school. I like photo. It is my own personal opinion. I like photos more. I find my attention span, for not only for me, for the audience also, I feel that attention span for a particular photo is more, because I also give a lot of, the captions are generally bigger than what Instagram or Facebook generally have. So I would want the audience to read as well. And so maybe a video and a lot of writing would tamper with the kind of concentration that they put in that post. That is why I prefer static posts. I prefer photos. I also feel due to our online presence, to capture their interest, I have found my static post doing better, the photos with the writing. And like I said, because there is a lot of writing that goes with my post, I prefer them to be static. Now, coming back to how social media or the content works, I think it has worked fine for me till date. And while I have a team to post photos, I always keep the content, the writing to myself. And for online, I think it is like how our grandparents got married, in the sense that they would see a photograph of a particular thing and then they would commit for the rest of their lives. If the marriage went well or did not is a later question, but it is that photograph that they would see and then they would make a decision of a lifetime. So I make sure that those photographs are very strong. They do not have a color alteration or any kind of tampering, which would, you see an Aishwarya Rai on a photo and you bring home a Poroma. That should not happen. So it should always be what you see on social media. So that way we keep that honesty, not too much of editing. These things we keep in mind. And to be honest, for our grandparents, their marriages work fine. I think it's working fine for me as well.
Yeah, you've got some very interesting ways of talking about different all of this. So that's another revelation of this panel discussion. So really nice to hear that. But now from the other lawyer.
Half lawyer, as I say.
That is the full lawyer. Okay, half lawyer.
So for me,
No
it
lawyer.
was the other. If I talk about my story, I guess it has been in a vice versa mode. I mean, it was online first, and then I went to the brick and mortar kind of a thing. And it's almost 6 years since Hatkarga was launched. And that time I started with Instagram. I don't know why. When I myself did not know what Instagram was. 6 years ago, we did not even know what Instagram was. Forget operating Instagram. And as all three of us, we run a brand of saris. So majority, the buyers would be above the age of 30. Sari wearers are more above the age of 30 mostly. And imagine 6 years ago, 30 of ladies operating Instagram was nearly impossible. And it was a very, very slow journey, because post डालना Instagram पे एक like आ रहा है, दो like आ रहा है, and those inquiries till date are just pee, and I still remember all night I used to see, and I'm the initial post would be 10 likes, oh wow, I crossed 10 likes on one post. I used to be happy about it, and then gradually with a slow, it was it was very slow, and I was working single-handedly for almost initial 3-4 years. So I was selling through WhatsApp, I was selling through Instagram DMs as well. And initial 1 or 2 months when you launch a brand, it is your family and the relatives who support you. So all my clients were just my, relatives and the known family, friends and all. They just to support Shubha and all that. Then gradually after a month or two, if I myself as a consumer, if I talk about, it's a very rare, probability that I would just hop onto a website for which I've not even heard of the name, right? Now, Instagram, of course, shows a lot of new brands coming up. But imagine 6 years ago, you hardly knew brands. All you cared for handloom brands would be Fab India, right? So suddenly, and I was very adamant that no matter what, no matter if I do not earn any revenue, I'm not of that thought process of, working with online portals like Amazon and Flipkart. I used to get calls every day. ma'am, you want to sell your products on Amazon, ma'am, you want to sell your products on Flipkart. And I was always with a straightforward answer that no. So people used to ask me why. I was like, because first of all, I want people to know what Hatkarga is. Like if you open Amazon and type a sari, say for example, a Mangalgiri sari, I guess they would open more than 800 options. You might find very good sari also, and you'll buy, you'll end up wearing it also. But people would not know from what brand they had bought. It would be just Amazon se sari di hai. So I said, no matter, it turns out to be a flop show in the end. Like after 5 years, maybe I'll just think that Hatkarga failed, but I would never take these shortcuts to sell my sarees. It has to be through Hatkarga. And initially, of course, because you have always heard these perceptions and all, ki just 5 feet ki hai to sari kaise pehnegi. I've grown up with such statements. I'm luckily not from Bengal, where people, wear saris so casually. So it was just product shoots initially. And, I would be clicking through my phone and all that. It was just 20 sarees lai Maheshwar se, and, giving all the time to it and all. Then eventually it was just, ek baar aisi ek sari pehen ke photo dal di. That too purana, when I was working with Fab India, there was this one post I had in a sari. I just posted that on Instagram, and that is when people started, having conversations with. And I thought, forget those notions, short-heighted and saris and all. Now I'll start doing the shoots on my own. So that's how it started. And then later on, I realized through my clients, I guess for all of us, the biggest learning comes from our clients. Because she's a lawyer, she came to saris, she was doing something else, she came to saris. No matter what, we always loved saris in our heart. But it is the constant learning through the clients which came, and still date. And I guess still, whenever we are working, I guess the biggest learning would always come from our clients. I always boast this that, the reason people just see Instagram pe Hatkarga ki acha itne followers hai. They just make a picture. Acha itne followers se bahut badi brand ho jayegi. I said, I have been working for 6 years. It was very challenging, very slow. Your brand is just 3 months old and you're expecting the bahut followers aa jayenge. And I always tell them, it is just a number. It doesn't determine your business at all. If I say I have been lucky and fortunate enough in my business, it is solely because the clients which I had 6 years ago are still with me. That is how I think I have grown. Like, of course, you can't make everybody happy. You can't be a pizza all the time, right? So there are a lot of clients who must have left me. But still, I have most of my clients with me. And it's only because they saw my face there. They used to and I was just a call away. That was the, the comfort zone we had given to them. Shubha, wo saari mere pe achhi lagegi. Shubha, wo saari ye to nahi hogi. Shubha, wo saari wo to nahi hogi. And even if in case she did not like the saari, the exchanges were very, very normal, very easy. It was like, and then, they used to appreciate also the fact that, no, it's okay. It's okay. It wasn't what I expected, but of course I understand. Only because we are there to make them understand. But that feeling, any other online portal, if you talk about Flipkart, Myntra or Amazon, they would not give. The moment you receive the package and there would be slight difference as per your expected, you will write one long mail. But touch wood, I'm sure none of us would receive such things because the customers know us so well. It's a transparency which we give it to our clients and the trust. And it takes a lot of time to build that trust, not only with us, but them to trust our products as well. It's a long journey.
So I think, yes, I think customer appreciation, client appreciation is the biggest form of motivation that keeps us going, because sometimes it gets very intimidating, to see so many new brands coming up. To be honest, some doing way better in terms of churning out new content, marketing, this, that, so many fancy things that are coming up. And to stay relevant, to kind of know what you're doing is right, what your strategies, your plans, or the way you look at the brand is like the right way to go about it in a world full of, you can say, fast fashion or, so much of competition. I think our client appreciation is like the foremost thing that helps us realize that, okay, what we are doing is right. There's something we are doing right that makes us, be so loved, get so much loved. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Something that I've seen as we come to the end of this discussion, which has been really interesting, and I think is sort of, you guys have really played off each other's conversations and statements, which is so nice. It's been a really animated conversation. You have so much respect for each other. And I think for people outside to see that you respect each other is so reassuring, because all of you, I mean, you're so fond of each other, and that respect is something that I would love to know why. What is it about each other that you really, you obviously, beyond just as women in business, you have the respect for the business that is being run as well. So tell me a little of that just before we wind up.
For me, I think
I want to start
sorry,
with
go ahead.
because I just remember a story right now. When I started my store, when I launched my store, there were people coming from all over, and it was actually the first time when I was meeting clients, interacting them, face to face. Otherwise, it has completely been online for the past years, unless it was just exhibitions. So for me, meeting clients at the store was more of making conversations. Where are they from? What do they do? And all those conversations. So it was people who actually told me about brands like Aroma, Amrapali Boutique, Suta, and various such brands. It was people and clients who actually mentioned and told me about these brands. So eventually I started following those brands. And that was the healthy part of it. There were few people who used to say, oh, it's a tough competition between you brands, you, Suta, Amrapali, Poroma, and many other brands. And I always, used to wonder, why would there be a competition? Well, this word in itself doesn't suit any of us, I should tell them, I in fact mentioned this to the Shramona and family also when they came, because the reason is, in fact, I love, it's more of a sisterly feeling. In fact, if somebody asks me, because in the end, we are all promoting saris. And that is what we started our brands with. It was never Vokya Bechri, Vokya Bechri. It has never been, at least for me, it has never been like that. We have put all our heart, all our passion, left our careers and left our various sort of lives and put everything in our respective brands. Like for me, I put each and every second of my past 6 years to Hathkarga. So, mere comparing it with other brands and calling it a competition itself is a very, very shallow thing, which you can say, very negative thing if you can see. The approach becomes, ill about it. So, in fact, I would always be saying कि जो Poroma कर रही है वो of course मैं नहीं कर सकती हूँ, जो Shramona कर रहे हैं वो हम नहीं कर सकते, because in the end what we are doing is creativity. You cannot have same creativity. You cannot compete with somebody's creativity. So, it is more of I felt connected with these people even before I met. Like, I have never met Suta sisters, but, there's still, I feel like a connection. When my website was crashed, I messaged Amrapali people, my website is crashed. When I want a professional camera, I messaged these people. And we are ready to help each other. When they wanted to start international shipping, the sister asked me about kaise karna hai. My reply was ready there, because in the end, we want to promote saris. It's not uski nahi apni bechni. That feeling has never been there. So for me, it's like one of our sisters, together, all promoting the same dream. More and more saris in the community. People should start wearing saris and leave all those typical notions about saris. I feel a strong bond with these people. Anyways.
Sisterhood. Poroma?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. What she said, I mean, for us, there is, it's like bringing our own children our own way. I mean, there is no competition, there is no nothing. And also, like she said, promoting each other's brand. So Shramona had, purchased a blouse from Poroma, and she had used that in many of her shoots. I was going to say one of our shoots, but she had used that blouse in many of her shoots. And there were so many inquiries, and it was so sweet of her to everywhere mention, that the blouse is from Poroma, and her clients would come back to me with an inquiry for that blouse. So, it is such a heartwarming thing that each of us have our own space, but we are ready to help each other. And like Shubha said, if I have a problem with my website or with a courier partner or anything, I would definitely call my co-brands and ask them, how do you do it? I mean, there is no harm in it. And anyway, I think this is not a race where the first girl hides her answers while writing them in the exam. I mean, we can all show each other our answers. Exactly. And even then, with one spark, we can all make our own mark in that whole thing,
Yeah,
so
I think it's all it's a composition that we are writing, that where our own creativity is involved for what it is. It's not just simple math that do this, and you will get an end result. So I don't think there's any scope of competition there. Sorry, I cut you, Poroma. Please continue. Were you done?
No. That's absolutely.
Acha.
I was done.
Okay. So yeah, even for me, like I said, like I personally and even my sister, we are big fans of both Poroma and Shubha. And this is from beginning of time. Like Poroma first made blouses, and then she initially shifted to saris. So like, you know, in a world where everyone was looking at backlaces and backless blouses, she came up with full backs with stories woven in them, and that itself made us fall in love with her and her stories, how beautifully she writes. And same with Shubha, like, and this is such a true story that when we first started that Instagram, which we were talking about posting 1-2 photos, not knowing where we are going, Shubha was such a big inspiration. I think you had a store even then, no? Like, or maybe it was from your home you were doing it. I mean, so beautifully, so authentic, so real she was. Because like, Shubha has been an inspiration from the beginning of time. And today, when we are all doing the same thing, I don't think I mean, we don't even think for 1 second it's anyway close to any competition. If anything, it's inspiration, you know. Exactly. We draw so much inspiration from both of them. And like Poroma said, that there's no rat race. I believe, you know, everyone has their own journey and their own set of audience. So, and it's a small community. We got to stick by each other. And I think that's what we do. Like, yeah, I think anytime we require any help, if there's comes to promoting someone else, we would do it at one go. And that's where even our confidence lies. You know, it's not like if you're promoting Poroma, we lose clients. It's not that. So I think, yeah, I think that's what helped us also, you know, stay true to our roots.
I remember when I shopped from Amrapali, because of course I follow their pages, and whatever posts, they post such amazing, you know, pictures and everything. I mentioned once to Poroma also the shoot which she had once with those gray hair lady. I was in love with that lady. I even messaged her, ki, who is this model? I'm in love with her and all that, you know. So it's like healthy conversations happening, motivating each other and all. And then when Amrapali started posting some very beautiful saris, I couldn't stop myself and I messaged her, I want these saris. So then she said, ki aaj shaam ko launch hai. And then eventually I grabbed almost 5 saris. And the very next day, I wore one of those saris and I tagged and everything. Of course, people actually told me, it's such a good thing that you are supporting a co-brand. It is the people who made me realize. I never even thought of all that. Like, if I'm buying, of course, I know her. I can rely on the brand. I love the sari. Definitely, I would not even take more than 2 days to drape one sari and, you know, say thanks and, you know, complimenting and, you know, things. So it is good because then people also picture us as having a very healthy relationships amongst us. So I really feel we have learned a lot, and it's a process of learning, as I always say.
So
unlearning and learning.
Yeah. So such really, really heartwarming sisterhood this is. Yeah. But of course, we have run completely out of time. So Poroma, Shubha, I know that all the viewers who are sort of watching this are going to go, if they're not already following you on Instagram and on social media, I know that they're going to go to your pages and really enjoy sort of looking at the stuff you're doing. The handles to watch out for are Poroma, spelled P-A-R-A-M-A, Amrapali Boutique, and Hathkarga. Thank you so much to all three of you for joining us today to celebrate the sari, and all the very best to all of you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's a wonderful session.